Our top story this evening and the first debate on news at 7 days after the Karnataka government announced that they will scrap the centre's national education policy in the state. A confirmation has now come in from the Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar. Karnataka will be getting its own state education policy in place of the national education policy. Now, this announcement was made after Chief Minister Siddaramaiah met with academicians and vice-chancellors of state universities today for a final call on the matter. Now, in this meeting, the Chief Minister deliberated over guidelines for a new state education policy, which he had in fact recently announced. Earlier, remember, D.K. Shivakumar slammed the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman as well as the Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan's defense of the policy, stating that they are pushing the NEP to please their political masters and alleged saffronization of education. Now, remember, both union ministers had slammed Karnataka's move, calling it anti-student.
There will be no NEP or Nagpur Education Policy which has been adopted by the BJP government. Karnataka education is a state subject, so we will have a new Karnataka education policy. We will frame it out. We are forming a committee. We will come out with a proposal looking at the present standards of quality education which the entire country and the world is looking at. Committee will be formed within 1 week.
State government has decided to bring in a new state education policy from next year. For that, we are going to form a committee which is going to look into it and which is going to guide us how it has to be implemented, what are the modalities and what way it has to be implemented. We have serious objections of certain aspects of NEP which the government of India was trying to damage the secular fabric of this country. So that is the main contention here, and since that October 2016 state education policy, what was recommended, it is our own policy, and a lot of things are part of NEP also. So I think we will go through the whole thing now.
Yes, now as far as the state education policy is concerned and the scrapping of NEP is concerned, it has been spoken about time and again. The Chief Minister, of course, made this announcement a few days ago, after which we've seen politics play out as well. But now it seems like the Congress is pretty certain that it wants to go ahead with it. A meeting of vice-chancellors, academicians and experts, after which, the two education ministers, the higher education minister and the primary education minister, along with the Chief Minister, Deputy Chief Minister, holding that particular meeting. They've decided in about a week's time they'll form a panel which will look into what is the best way forward as far as, the students and the education policy that they need to follow is concerned. And more importantly, they're saying whatever happens, NEP shouldn't be there because it's not for the good of the students. It is an education policy that reflects on the ideology of the BJP. As far as the BJP here is concerned, they're saying that this is only going to be detrimental in the interest of the students. In the coming days, we'll really have to see how the opposition parties really, take on the Congress over this, because you can expect that to happen, because we've seen that as a pattern with every move that the Congress has come out with. There has been stringent opposition from the BJP in particular.
All right, let me take this across to my guests this evening. Prashanth GS, spokesperson for the BJP, joins us this evening on Mirror Now, and Dhruv Jatti, Congress spokesperson, joins us as well. Welcome, gentlemen, to Mirror Now. Thank you so much for talking with us. First to you, Dhruv. We have heard these reiterating remarks by the Congress government in the state that this is saffronization of education and that this is against students. Why do you feel that the national education policy is against students? Dhruv, I believe you are on mute. Please unmute yourself.
The Bharatiya Janata Party brought this national education policy and stated that in 2021 it was successfully implemented in Karnataka. Our main issue is with the fact about its roadmap, because it is a visionary document, but however its implementation process is merely or mostly impossible. Because you tell me how many education institutes in Karnataka themselves have successfully implemented this entire national education policy. Vice chancellors themselves are approaching the Karnataka state government and saying that they don't have adequate faculty to run diverse courses that are put together. Now, when the Karnataka government has come out with a state education policy, and that of the universities in Karnataka are supporting this, why is it that the Bharatiya Janata Party feels that people of Karnataka, the Karnataka academic fraternity, is incapable of, in fact, having a state education policy on the whole? It is the Bharatiya Janata Party that goes on to be time and again anti-Karnataka and anti-Kandiga. If they believe that the people of Karnataka and that the academic fraternity is extremely capable, then they should go ahead and support the state. So, in fact, infrastructural plan for education in the state for the next couple of years. This is the Karnataka's government's point of view, and of course the Congress parties as well.
Okay, Prashanth GS, the Congress and the opposition parties have been reiterating the fact that the BJP is trying to saffronize education. And in fact, today we heard the Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar also say that we are rejecting the Nagpur Education Policy. What do you have to say to that, number one? And what do you think of the fact that education, itself is a state subject, and therefore the Congress government in Karnataka has all the right to go ahead and formulate its own state education policy?
Shreya, Congress firstly has to come out of its colonial mindset. They are used to this colonial mindset. Even now, they are doing everything to help their masters in Delhi. Accepting that there is no rhyme and reason at all. Congress has to come out of this colonial mindset because they're time and again talking about saffronizing education. What do they mean by saffronizing education? Do you mean to say learning about India's rich heritage and culture and customs? Does it mean saffronization? Do they want to only look at one side of history when we were ruled by invaders and they looted our wealth? I think is this what Congress is wanting to teach students? So be that as it may, exposing the Congress mindset, look at what they're trying to do. They're playing with the future of the students. NEP has been brought in after due consultation for more than 5 years. It is in public domain. It was brought in after talking to most experts, many chancellors, vice chancellors, academicians, educationists. Everybody had given their views, and only then NEP was brought in. And Karnataka was the first to implement it because Karnataka was future ready. Because Karnataka has been on the forefront of development for many years now, and therefore Karnataka was future ready. Therefore, Karnataka was able to implement NEP earlier than other states. Congress, only with political motives to scrap anything done by the Bharatiya Janata Party, wanting to please their masters or owners in Delhi, is doing this to say we will scrap NEP and want to bring in state education policy or SEP, maybe Sony education policy or Shivakumar education policy or Siddaramaiah education policy, we don't know. But Congress, if you look at three things what Congress is known for: dynasty politics, corruption and appeasement, and their DNA would be communalizing everything. So therefore, you can never trust Congress with the future of the students at all. They're going to ruin the students' future by resorting to this petty politics. There's nothing more to be said on this because it's evident from the way the DCM and CM have given statements. So what more do you expect from Congress? They have never been at the forefront for development of the nation. They're only looking at self-interest, self-centered people and dynasty politics. So therefore, you can never expect any development or good works from this Congress government, which is already married in controversies and corruption.
Respond to you, Prashanth GS.
I patiently listened to what Mr. Prashanth said. I did patiently listen to what Mr. Prashanth said, and I have very simple rebuttals to this. A, what is the Bharatiya Janata Party's problem with a state-centric educational policy? Do you believe that the people of Karnataka are incapable of handling their own state education policy? B, you speak about ideological differences. That happens with any political party. Let's talk about practical reasoning over here. You came out with a visionary document. You please tell me how many institutions in Karnataka have implemented the NEP? Do you have any data, quantitative data, stating about its impact in Karnataka and whether it has resonated in a way that you can say that Karnataka successfully implemented the entire NEP? Because clearly students and especially the academic fraternity have been struggling. Let me speak to you about the RAS, which is the Rashtriya Shiksha Ayog, which they have come out with on the whole. This entirely removes constitutional powers from the UGC. And also to bring to your notice about the RTE in the new NEP. And this is causing extreme hindrance to communities that have been, in fact, largely impacting education in Karnataka. Why do you see that the Lingayat community, which is also very prominent in its educational institutions in the entire of Karnataka, have supported the state education policy? This is simply because they have issues with the RTE. And we have a lot of structural problems over here. The Bharatiya Janata Party keeps on speaking about ideological issues. But sir, when you speak about India's development, it's more on reasonable practicalities, and that is the reality of Karnataka put together. The national education policy, what you're speaking about, is extremely difficult to implement in South Indian states, and that's why you have reservations from Kerala, from Maharashtra, as well as Tamil Nadu. You cannot implement a national policy in Karnataka, and this is, in fact, the reality of the South Indian states. And there's nothing about pleasing masses, because if you can say
you need to
SEC is a foreign
understand
education
that
policy,
you're trying to break India. You can't divide people on these lines.
Fair point here that you might come up with a
you
policy,
can't
but
divide
implementation might be a challenge.
Prashant, India is a union of states.
Dhruv, you
Who's talking
cannot.
about dividing
Your
India?
leader is
Do you
a
not?
union of
Does
organs.
your
Then
party
let's
not?
not get to it.
Does your party not? Does your
Dhruv
party not
Jagdi-
believe in constitutionalism? Does
Wait,
your party
Gentlemen, one
not
at a
believe
time,
in
please.
federalism?
Dhruv, you've
It's
made your
as simple
point.
as
Let
that.
Prashanth GS respond to you,
Dhruv,
please.
wait. This
Prashant, answer all the
mindset
points
of
about what
Congress
you
is
call
trying to
and
divide.
how to.
Mr. Dhruv, please wait. The mindset of Congress in trying to divide people. If you carefully observe what Dhruv was talking about, he was bringing in one particular community and said that community is rallying behind any. What sort of defense is this from Congress? Difficult to implement does not mean it cannot be implemented. We have to ensure that we're empowering institutions and people to ensure that we move towards a new India led by our students. And Congress being mirrored in controversies and wanting to please its masters, saying that they cannot do it, it's difficult, giving examples of Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Kerala and Tamil Nadu, all of us know what they're doing now. They have had traditionally, they have always opposed anything which is good for the country. Tamil Nadu was even opposing NEET. Their own people are standing on dharnas there. So they're not even able to understand what's going on. And Congress, on the other hand, now trying to bring in communities and say Lingayat community is going behind or being against NEP, or that community is controlling institutions. They're trying to bring in caste equations here. This is not done at all. Congress is only trying to divide the people. He made a statement saying it can't be implemented in South India. What does he mean to say?
The government.
What is fair in this, Shreya? They are trying to
Dhruv,
break
to be fair to the government, the arguments that go in favor of the national education policy is the fact that they're just trying to streamline the process. They're trying to standardize education across the country and bring in new elements, modern elements, keeping in view the times that we live in. For example, encouragement of STEM and research and innovation. I have, in fact, the policy right in front of me, and it also takes into account minor things like, for example, this is a long 66-page education policy where point number 22.19 says all languages in India and their associated arts and culture will be documented through a web-based platform, and people from all across the country can contribute to it, especially those who are the elderly. They can speak in the local language and contribute to that. What's the problem if education is diversified and streamlined in a country as diverse as ours?
Shreya, neither you or Prashant or I have seen the state education policy, right? So what is the fact that we're opposing the entire state education policy put together? Do we have any credible sort of rebuttals to say that the state education policy is incapable of showing something as visionary as the national education policy? The issue with the national education policy, I repeat time and again, is not with the fact about its vision.
What do you plan to include in the state education policy that will be different from the national education policy?
Shreya, the plans in terms of including what happens put together is that our core ideas in terms of why we objected the national education policy was because of its practical complexities. And I invite you and Prashant to come to the northern parts of Karnataka, and you will see why whatever visionary sort of points they've put together is so difficult for the colleges to in fact implement. And this is going to create a larger divide in the education society of what students of, let's say, Bangalore get and the students maybe sitting in a Bidar or a Gulbarga get. It's as simple as that. The state education policy is going to make sure that these gaps are put forth and they're going to be closed. And each and every student in Karnataka is going to be in terms of the egalitarian mindset put together. It's as simple as that. And I don't see why there seems to be an opposition to the state education policy. And Mr. Prashant did not, in fact, answer my question. How many institutions in Karnataka successfully implemented the NEP? And why is it that the different vice chancellors across the state are coming out and saying that they do not have the infrastructure for a national education policy? It is as simple as that. We are speaking about practicality. The Bharatiya Janata Party is speaking about a visionary document. This is the pure difference that you see between the, what I would say, administration
All
from
right.
the Congress party
All
and by the
right, Dhruv.
Bharatiya Janata Party.
Okay. All right, I'm going
Shreya,
to
it is
wrap it
clear
up
they are not
here. This,
wanting
of
India to
course, will
prosper.
go on for a long time.
They're stuck in this rut. They're not letting India prosper. They're saying practical
Okay.
difficulties in running it. If you are always looking at difficulties in doing something, invention and innovation would not have happened. If you were
All right,
looking at
Prashanth GS.
without innovation,
Yeah.
India could not have done the COVID vaccine at all in India. If we were stuck like what Congress is talking. So therefore, innovation and
Okay,
invention will
Prashanth
come
GS, you've
from if
made
you
your
take little
point.
difficulties.
Dhruv Jatti has also made his point. All right, gentlemen, I'll have to wrap it up here, but all I can say at the end is we have to think about the students who will be the most impacted in this whole politicization of education. We'll have to see what Karnataka really comes up with and how the national education policy, which has been proposed by the centre, will be implemented across the country. We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Dhruv Jatti, for speaking with us on Mirror Now. Of course, Prashanth GS continues to be with us.